Hey guys, thanks for clicking on this one. This one is for anyone who's new to striped bass fishing, or maybe you're struggling a bit. This is the best time to learn right now, springtime. What's awesome about spring is all you need to do is find bait. Spring striper fishing is all about the bait. You don't have to find a ledge, a hump, a temperature break or current break or anything like that. Find the bait and you're going to catch stripers. What's nice about the bait that these stripers feed on, we're talking about menhaden here, adult menhaden, bunker. Even in freshwater, big gizzard shad do the same thing. What happens is these big schools get together, massive schools. They'll be just under the surface, and you'll see them popping and flipping on the surface. It only takes one little splash to give away a giant school. Once you find that bait popping and flashing near the surface, like I said, you don't need a fish finder for this. You don't need any high dollar stuff. That's what's great about this. Find that bait popping near the surface, and then go to your deeper water around that bait. A depth finder is good, but you don't need a fancy fish finder with all kinds of crazy, really expensive transducers like I have. So you're going to go to the shipping channel once you find the bait, and if that bait is spread out everywhere around that shipping channel, what you're going to do is put your boat in the shipping channel, 70, 60, 50, 40 feet, whatever it is, and work your way to the side, coming up out of that channel. So as the bottom comes up and you're getting more shallow, in this case, 18, 20 feet, if you're still marking bait right there, that's where you want to fish. You want to fish that shallow water next to deep water. The closer to deep water, the better. If you can find a little piece of structure sitting on there, that could also be great. But it's not that important here because we're talking about giant schools of bait fish that are moving with the wind. So they're just blowing the food and the plankton and stuff they eat, and they're moving along with it. So once you find it, stay on that shallow section where you're marking the bait next to the deep, and you're good to go. I'm going to show you every little detail here in this video on how to do it. It's awesome, and I think you guys are going to dig it. Please put in the comments if it has helped you or any tips you may have, because I'm trying to learn myself every day, and I really do appreciate it, guys. Please stay safe on the water and leave a few for me. Love you. Mean it. All right, so here's a great example. We marked a lot of bait in this flat area. It's shallow water next to deep water. And you can see we're marking a few stripers here and there. But one there, one there. There's a couple more, We certainly are marking fish, but it's not like a huge pile of a couple hundred fish to stop on. We're not looking for that. Springtime, it's all about the bait. You find the bait first, if you find a couple stripers near it.
Right here, how are you looking at? Right here too. Right here, there's a bunch.
So if you can find bait like this and some stripers around it, I mean, woo, that's flutter spoon time. What's cool about this type of fishing is you don't need a fancy fish finder. You don't even need a live well. You can come out with one rod, but I would do it with two. I'd bring one rod for live bait and one for jigging or casting. So like right now we're coming through the bait, okay? Yes, my big expensive fancy fish finder shows it, but it's popping everywhere. You don't need it right now in spring. It's popping everywhere. You can see it. When we stop, I'll make sure you can see it. But you'll see them popping right on the surface. Pop, pop, pop. Right next to that white away. So as soon as you see them popping, you start fishing. You see what it looks like? It's all up here close to the surface. We're gonna put the boat sideways to the waves, so the wave will be drifting, so we can jig our spoons off the side with a lot of room for these guys to fish. All right, guys, we're out here. It is a couple hours before dark. There is bait popping everywhere out here, and springtime, it's all about bait. It is all about the bait. You don't have to worry about fishing some structure or fishing some break or anything. You find the bait. I mean, you can do that, of course, but it's all about the bait. These fish are moving. They're migrating up. They're going up the rivers, spawning, coming down, going further north. They're burning a lot of energy. Anytime they come across big schools of bait like this, they're going to stop and eat. So we're drifting, which is why it's a little squiggly, but you can see the stripers that are in here, and the bait is popping everywhere. That's adult bunker, anywhere from 8 to 12 inches, really wide, and it's all about the bait. These stripers, if the water is cool enough, they're going to stay here and eat. If the water stayed cool in this bay forever, the striped bass may stay forever. The temperatures get them moving up north. We find bait and we've got cooler water, that's what we're going to fish by. We're jigging some spoons that imitate the bait. and we are gonna snag some bait to use as live bait. We're in New Jersey, New York. Up here in the Northeast, it's very typical to snag bunker. We net it with a cast net up shallow, but when it's wide open like this, we're just snagging it, putting a few down, and using the spoons too. So we're using everything we got. So as you can see, there's some stripers just following the spoons right there. They're not biting for whatever reason, but they're following us. And as the sun goes down, they'll probably start biting. So snagging our bait and using spoons, using everything we got all the way around us. So you don't need a cast net for this. You don't even need a live well. You could just, when you see bait like this, you're staying by it, just snag a piece here and there whenever you need it. But yeah, snagging is legal here. It's actually one of the most popular ways to get bait in the Northeast. So let's go ahead and snag one. If you're wondering what a snag hook looks like, you can get these at all the bait shops around here. You can get them at Amazon if you want to, but support the local bait shops if you can. This is a little big. We use this size and a couple sizes a little smaller than this. All right, so we're doing a little bit of both. We are throwing artificials and we're pulling some live bait that we just caught around here with a snag hook. There's a bunker. These are smallers, not the big adult size bunker, but they're not peanuts either. I have a medium size. It's got a 8/0 Demon Circle hook. See the straight shank, no snell, just an improved clench on this, a fluorocarbon. You could do a Palomar if you like. Uni, whatever, but anything you put in fluorocarbon, usually a Palomar or an improved clench. And we're gonna go in the mouth and out the top. This is something I do a little different. And this really gives you the best chances of keeping this bait hooked properly. If you go through the nostrils or through both, sometimes the fish wants to work its way up the line, sideways, and get rehooked on the hook point, and it covers up the point. And then you're in trouble. When a fish takes it, he can't get the hook, and it is a circle hook, so we need that point to be free so he can do its work. We have just about a 3-foot leader. It's 30-pound fluorocarbon, 30-pound mono. My two glass beads. You guys know I like to use glass beads because they make noise. And you don't need fluorocarbon. I'm convinced that 90% of the fish we catch with fluorocarbon probably would have been caught with mono as well, but you never know. So we got our live bait, no weight here, hooked in the lips, and we're gonna put 2 or 3 of these out while these guys are also jigging, so we can do both. So we have no weight at all. We'll start paying her out and put the rods in the rod holder and then go back to the artificials. Look at the screen there, Justin. So you can see this bigger fish, only 15 feet of water. We are marking some nice big fish in there. It's only 15 feet of water over here. And stripers don't like to hunt in deep water. These baits are fast like lightning. We can throw the cast net and see them swim right out from underneath it. Look at those marks. And they have speed to spare. I mean, they'll swim out from underneath the cast net on the live sonar, and they'll swim just enough. They won't like panic and get out. They go just enough to get away. They have speed to spare. So they don't want to hunt in 30, 40, 50 feet. Do they? Of course they do. But the odds are going to tell you that if you have this shallow water right next to deep water, and there's bait covered up on that shallow water, there's where you want to fish, because the hunting is much easier for a striper in 10 or 15 feet of water versus 50, 60, 70 feet. That's the key. So what's the key in spring? Find your bait. Fish near bait. You don't need to mark striper necessarily. Find your bait and make sure the bait is in shallow water next to deep water. That's it. Anyone can do this. We're using, you know, accurate stuff here. We've been with them forever. And I do this for a living, so I have really good stuff. But you don't need to do this. You can come out with a $170 combo, you know, an ugly stick with a entry level, like a pen spinner rod reel if you want, and have a blast. You don't have to spend a ton of money. Woo! Look at those. Side scan and see them off to the side there. All right, now Justin, you remember how we hook up with a circle hook when you get a bite? Remember what you do? So yeah, we're gonna put it in a rod holder. If the rod just doubles over and drag goes out, he's hooked. Just pick up and fight the fish. If it's pulling over slow and it has a little tension on it but not completely loaded, crank it in the rod holder, don't take it out. So if it's just slowly starting to load, you know there's a fish on there, just elbow out, hand on the reel, crank, 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 crank. It'll crank to bend the rod down to the fish until drag goes out or it locks up on the fish, then pick them up and fight them. If the rod is going down and coming back up and loose, don't do anything. There you go. Nice work. Nice work. Run, run. Take it, take it. Go, go.
Yeah, we'll keep the big guy right away. No left skimming on that one. Coming to yours. There he is.
Oh yeah, there he is. So that's it. We got maybe 150 feet from the boat. Lock up the clicker. Lock up the drag. This is where we're going to fight the fish. It's probably only 4 or 5 pounds of drag. And then what I'll do is I'll back it up just a little bit. So when it's a screaming fish, hook up, crank, 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 crank. There you go. Fish on the live one. Right. That's a good looking fish there, dude. Woo. Yeah, so we got the live bait and we got the spoon going at the same time. Maybe get the flop net.
People say, why the clicker? Why the clicker? Well, main reason I put the clicker on is for the video. So you guys at home can feel when the fish is taking line, like that, right? So the clicker helps a lot of ways. If I'm running a charter and say I'm back here working the helm, right? Guys all the way at the front and it's hooked up. I can hear what he's doing. I can hear if he's taking line. I can hear if line is going out. I can hear if his drag is too loose. Maybe he's cranking like crazy and we're not hearing a clicker. That means his spool isn't turning. I know his drag is too loose. I can tell that from all the way over here. If it's screaming line, I hear the clicker screaming, I can look and see if we're shallow. Are there any obstructions? Do I need to move the boat? So like, nice! That's a good one. That's a good one.
Woo!
Justin. Woo! That live bait's hard to beat. When you come up, if you hear the drag going out, it means you come up a little too fast. That's it. He's barely creeping out. And good news, people, the Striper stealth rods are in stock. They got tons of them now. You know, I love the medium heavies and the heavies. This is a medium heavy. I love them. And that's why super soft tip, so good for live and cut bait fishing because fish never feels it. They have plenty of time to get that circle hook down because they don't feel it. Soft tip. Striper stealth. Beautiful. She heard it. Pull up. All right, hold it there. In there.
Oh, yeah, that's beautiful fish. Drop.
Pretty.
Beautiful. Can we turn real quick? There you go.
There you go. Good job, man.
I got the biggest one. I'm the winner.
Thank you.
So if you're just learning your flutter spoons, get some live baits out there and do it both. All right, Eric. I'm there, Justin. The circle, look, the demon circle. So good. Look at that.
Let him go. Nice.
We'll provide him for a second.
Yep.
Wasn't a really long fight. Just wait for her dorsal.
There she goes.
She's
Oh.
good.
Is she all right?
Oh yeah. Beautiful. Good job. Good job, man.
Beautiful.
Good job. Good job.
Father.
Eric? Okay, guys, I get tons and tons of requests on how we use a circle hook. There's a million reasons why we use them. Number one reason is we catch more fish. Hookup rates are way higher. So I'm going to take this really quick, really simple, and just show you how to go ahead and button it up with a circle hook. Okay, I'm going to hold the rod for this. Okay, see how our rod is slightly slack, line is slightly slack. Let's say we're cut bait fishing, okay? And we see that line is slightly slack and we're waiting for a bite, waiting for a bite, waiting for a bite. Say a fish is playing with it, just nibbling with it. Okay, you see it? Fish is just nibbling with it, but he's slacking the line back up. Now is not the time to go ahead and reel in and go ahead and sink that circle hook. We gotta wait, Okay, now he's got it. You see, he just slightly got it. Now you wanna crank, 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 crank until you can't crank anymore. Line won't come anymore. Now you fight your fish, okay? Let's say the rod's in a rod holder, line is slack, okay? It's just slack, sitting in a rod holder, and then all of a sudden it just screams off drag. It's just all the way buttoned down and screaming off drag. You don't need to crank first. Just pick it up and fight your fish. He's screaming line is tight, he's pulling your drag, his tension is maxed already, line is stretched. You don't need to crank first. Pick it up and fight your fish the way you normally would, pump and take, right? Let's go back to the fish just nibbling. And a lot of them are gonna be like this, right? You're sitting there. Okay, now you see it slack. See it slack up right there? Not the time to reel. You reel, you're just gonna pull it out. Chances are the fish is picking it up, turning it, picking up, turning it. If it's cut bait, he's picking up, drops it, swims around, picks it up, drops it. There's lots of ways to know when the fish has got it, not just when the rod's bent over. So you're watching it, it's slack, nibbling, now it's slack. Now all of a sudden, it's such a slight amount of pressure. See that rod is just barely touched? There's a fish on there. He's hanging on there. It's completely different than the rest of your rods. Don't wait anymore. You know he's there for a few seconds. You get a few seconds of that, crank down into it, he's hooked. Don't pick up and yank the rod. After this point when he's hooked, if someone accidentally yanks, it's not the end of the world. But you definitely don't want to yank until you load that rod as far and hard as down to the fish as you can. That's really it. It's extremely simple to use a circle hook. They really have changed the game a lot. I resisted for years and years. I used them with eels from day one, but I resisted them with cut bait because a lot of the fish would swallow the whole circle hook. And my mistake was I was using the same size circle hook as I was a J. For cut bait, jump up 2 sizes. So if you're going from a J to a cut to a circle hook, jump up 2 sizes. For live bait, if you're going from a J to a circle, jump up 1 size. It'll change everything. You'll catch a lot more fish. It's good for the fish, it's good for us. Make the change, you'll dig it. All right, so many guys have been asking me where they can get these things over the years, right? I finally got a guy who I know very well. He makes all kinds of great stuff, and he's making these rails. So it's just a simple design I came up with years ago just because new boats don't have rails on it. So I just had this made. Everybody likes them, everyone wants them, which I understand. That's why I wanted them, because it was the only cool thing out there and simple. So put his email address and his cell phone in the description. We just call these the rod rails. They're pop-out rod rails. You can move them all around the boat if you have multiple in-holes. And these are 30 degrees, which is the most common. He can do the ones at 19 if you want, or the ones at 45, but the most common is 30. And I use C.E. Smith rod holders on mine, but you can use anything, any brand really that goes on here. You can get the black wire ones if you want. And let's see, I think he's doing, these are 22 inches by 22 inches. These are like 20 by 20 right here. So it's a little bigger, 22 by 22. And he's also stocking rod holders at a really good price, so you can get it all at once. So if you don't want to have to like buy the rod holders and order the rails, you can just tell him and he'll ship them out to you with the rod holders and everything ready to go. And we love these things, right? We use them for everything. These are a little beat up, but his is a little nicer, and he has a nice wedge cut here that comes to a point. So as the weight sits on here, and the weight pushes down as the boat pounding through the waves and stuff, it really goes down in there nice. And there's nothing that holds it in, and you would think that this would be a problem, but for years now, I think 2016, maybe 2015 is when we first had these done. And you can, for, you know what I mean, for nothing to strap it down or bolt it in. We're really happy with them. Only thing to be careful with when you use these is these are stainless ones. If you only put like one rod holder on here, and it's aluminum, it will be lighter. So if someone panics to get a rod out, they may lift it out. So put enough rod holders on there to keep the thing heavy or strap it down. But we haven't had a problem pounding through the waves. We've been going up mountains and mountains. And look at that fish finder right there, Tim.
This one?
Woo! He's a great guy, does good work. And he'll hook you up. He's got a bunch made just for this. Oh, and he's doing, I think, the first 10 orders. He's doing free shipping too. For all you guys who've been being patient, we're all set now. RJ, he can hook you up. I like to use these folding nets because they take up so much room. And we had the Frable folding nets, which are great. They're super strong, but they have the most annoying extension thing with the little push buttons. And they break within a week every time, no matter what happens. Everything else is nice and strong, but that system is terrible. So I tried this net. We used it the first day, the other day, and it is flopitis, man. That's all. Love you guys. Thanks for watching. Please subscribe. You're the best. Hooked up.